All right, ladies and gents, let me plug the joint. Robert Pattinson exposes what women really think about your struggles. Now, I do have a Facebook post. It is not a video clip. Again, it is not a video clip, but rather a Facebook post. Now, guys, what I'm about to share with you, take with a grain of salt. Okay, again, what I'm about to share with you, take with a grain of salt. And the reason why I say that is because if I had a video of Robert Pattinson talking himself, that would be different. But this was an excerpt taken from an interview he did back in 2009. So take it with a grain of salt, right? Again, Robert Pattinson exposes what women really think about your struggles. And if you don't know who Robert Pattinson is, for those of you, the Twilight movies back in the day, he was the star of that. But also, I believe in 2023, there was a Batman movie that came out, and he was in that joint too, right? But we're going to talk about this. So let me go ahead and share this with y'all right quick, and we're going to get off into this. All right, so it says in 2009, Robert Pattinson had an unexpected approach to dealing with a persistent stalker who waited outside his apartment every day. He asked her out to dinner. Now, let me stop right there. Let me stop right there. If you let the people on the internet tell it, all the people who talk about looks, money, status, and celebrity, what do they tell you guys? You know, all you got to do is look a certain way. Man, if you're a celebrity, man, you can get any woman you want. You're going to be cleaning up. All you got to do is have some money, be good looking, and have some status, and the world is your oyster. Really now. And have y'all noticed the guys who always say that shit? It's always the guys who don't get no women. It's always the guys who aren't having any sex. And what happens is because they're not getting any sex and they're pretty much invisible to women, they have these ideas as to why that is, right? They have these ideas as to why that is. But my thing is, when you don't have the experience of dealing with women, then you're really not going to know why they don't want you, right? Having this opinion about why they want other men doesn't help with the fact that they don't want you, right? All right, so let's go ahead and get into it, right? Again, in 2009, Robert Pattinson had an unexpected approach to dealing with a persistent stalker who waited outside his apartment every day. He asked her out to dinner, right? Rather than confronting her aggressively, he flipped the situation, treating the evening like a therapy session and opening up about his personal struggles. What do you guys hear on the internet all the time? Guys talking about how they can't be vulnerable with women. Guys talking about how they want to vent to their significant others and how they want to lean on their woman for support, right? This is what guys talk about, right? So that's what he did. He said, you know what? Here's a chick who's stalking me. She's obsessed with me. She wants me. Let me flip the script. Let me invite her to dinner and let me have a real conversation with this woman about who I really am and what I'm struggling with in my personal life. Let me take off the mask, right? Because all she sees is Robert Pattinson, the Twilight star, right? That's all she sees, right? She has this fantasy, right? And the reason why she has this fantasy is because of that reason. Perceptions can influence how people treat you, communicate with you, and react to your actions. Shout out to the late Tupac Shakur. And y'all can look this up. Do not take my word for it. Google it yourself, research it yourself. Years ago, there was an interview that Tupac did. I don't recall who it was with, what publication or who it was with, but I saw the interview. And in this interview, he was talking about how some of the women he would encounter, they would not appreciate the poetic Tupac. Like the Tupac away from cameras, the who Tupac really was in private. They didn't like that person. He said this in an interview. He said, when I would really deal with women, there would be women who didn't like the real me. They wanted the thug life Tupac. They wanted the crazy nigga on camera. And these are his words. They wanted the bishop from Juice Tupac. They wanted the Tupac who was wild on camera. They wanted that guy. They wanted the Temptations Tupac from the song Temptations. They wanted the I'd rather be your nigga. They wanted that Tupac. They wanted the Tupac from the music videos. They wanted that guy. But what people don't understand is some of that is just entertainment. Some of that is a little bit of exaggeration to entertain the people, right? So Tupac revealed that women would literally tell him, you're not at all what I imagined. And there would be women who didn't want to fuck with him because he wasn't presenting the person they initially perceived him to be. Perceptions can influence how people treat you, communicate with you, and react to your actions. But let's go on and continue with this joint. The result, I'm going back to the post. The result, she never came back. Pattinson later joked that the date was so emotionally draining and unglamorous, it cured her obsession. So let's go ahead and take that down. Okay, hold on, y'all. Okay, let me close that shit. Let me close all this shit. Hold on, let me fix some shit. Okay, hold on, y'all. I'm gonna fuck with this camera. Okay. So let me get back to my overall point. Again, Robert Pattinson exposes what women really think about your struggles. And here's the thing. What he realized was this woman's obsession with me was based on this inaccurate perception of who she thought I was because of the characters I played. Now, what I just said, she had an inaccurate perception of who he was based on the characters that he played. But once she dealt with him for real, she no longer desired him, right? Because her obsession was of a fantasy that she created in her head. Guys, this is why when you deal with women, right? When you deal with women, even when women are attracted to you, you have a certain level of influence in those particular encounters. The issue is, in some cases, if a woman has a perception of you that's not accurate with who you are authentically, you're going to run into some issues. And in many cases, what could happen is that once a woman has dealt with you for a little while, the the excitement, the anticipation, the intrigue that she initially felt is no longer present because now that she's dealt with you, who she initially perceives you to be, that's no longer a valid person in her mind. Right? This is why sometimes when guys, this is what some guys will do when they lead with money. This is what a lot of guys will do when they lead with money, or when they lead with being very generous with dates and things like that. Right? This is what guys think. They think, okay, yes, I'm going to use this money to woo her. I'm going to use this extravagant date idea to impress her or get her attention. But once she's around me, she'll get to know the real me and she'll like me for me. This is what guys think. And what you don't understand, you've already set yourself up for failure because of how you initially came at the woman. She already formed a perception of you that's no longer accurate with how you're acting. It's not accurate. So what I mean by that is this. What some guys will do is they will step to a woman very, very passively, right? Almost as if they're scared to say certain things. But then what happens is later on over the phone, when they're no longer in front of the woman, now they have the courage to say the sexual shit that they couldn't say in front of her face. And what they think is, oh, I'm gonna turn her on with these words. Brother, she already has a perception of you based on how you initially acted when she met you. That passive, indirect, vague guy, she already perceives you a certain way based on that initial interaction. Now you're on the phone saying all this sexual fly shit, and you really think that's gonna change her view of you and make her look at you sexually? No, it don't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Okay, this is why it's important that you always step to women in the most genuine, authentic, sincere way possible. Right? Because you can't, guys, you can't fake being you. You can fake being somebody else. You can fake being the type of man you think a woman might want, but you can't fake being you. So if you step to women in the most authentic fashion possible, like whatever perception they form of you is gonna be based on something that's accurate. You understand what I'm saying? When you step to women and you remove your mask, right? You take away the fact that you're stepping to a woman with a representative and you just step to her in all your glory, right? And you just show her who you really are and what you really got going on, right? So let her decide who she gonna fuck with based on the real you. The problem with a lot of you guys, you don't like the real you. You don't love the real you. You're not excited about who you really are. Because if you were excited about who you really are, you couldn't wait to show women that part of you. But a lot of you people, a lot of you guys, and even some of you women, y'all don't like who you really are, which is why you put on the front. Robert Pattinson exposes what women really think about your struggles. And in closing, let me say this. Women don't care about your struggles. Women don't care about your hard day at work. Women don't care about your past relationship issues. Women don't care that you and your best friend aren't getting along. Women don't care that you're struggling with alcohol abuse or gambling problems or porn addiction or whatever the fuck you guys got going on. Women don't care. All women want to know is, hey, is it going to be fun dealing with you? Am I going to have a great time dealing with you? If I decide to have sex with you, is it going to be enjoyable for me? That's all women give a fuck about, is how they can benefit from dealing with you. That's it. That's all women care about, is how they can directly benefit from dealing with you, whether sex is involved or not. If a woman cannot benefit from dealing with you, she's not dealing with you. So the question should be is, guys, how do you want women to deal with you? In what capacity do you want women to deal with you? And are you conducting yourself? Are you behaving in such a way that's in alignment with ultimately with how you want to be dealt with when it comes to women? Are you moving in that way? Are you? Guys, whatever it is you want, if you want to date casually, if you want to date women and eventually identify the type of woman you could potentially marry or have a family with, it doesn't matter what type of relationship you're endeavoring to be in, if you want to be in one at all. Whatever it is you want from these women, are you taking the necessary steps and actions? Are you saying the things necessary for these things to come to fruition? Are you? Like, share, and subscribe. Saturday, 11 o'clock Central Standard Time, 12 o'clock noon. The Manhood is a Skill Set Show. Myself, Miles Cunningham, Jay Roman. Like, share, and subscribe. Also, check out the Patreon. It's going crazy over there. Also, check out the channel membership. I have content for both those memberships that you will not find on the other membership and you will not find here on YouTube. Also, there are perks for both memberships, right? So go ahead and check that out. If you're so inclined, feel free to support my endeavors with those memberships and join. Robert Pattinson exposes what women really think about your struggles. They don't give a fuck. I'm out.